Abortions are legal in the U.S. up to 24 weeks. Almost all abortions are done by women 20 to 24. It has become a popular option because of how little time it takes, and you no longer have the responsibility to care for a child.
Abortion should not be legal because you are murdering an unborn child and every life needs to have a chance, and it's a cruel way to end a child's life. Abortions are an unnecessary and selfish way to deal with an unplanned child. There are other ways that make abortion obsolete. Point 1. You are killing a defenseless unborn child. It's technically murder. It's also cruel. The law is that knowingly killing another human life is murder. The mother is not unaware during the abortion that the child is going to die. The mom is knowingly killing another human life, which is, by law, 100% illegal. Abortions are cruel. Dr. Vincent performs abortions, and he says that the babies can feel pain. The most common abortions happen about 16 weeks, and at this point, the baby is able to feel pain. They crush the skull and snap the spine. Then they cut up the baby so that they can suction the dead fetus out. The baby is able to feel everything that is happening, so it's no different than cutting up a born baby and throwing it away. The baby has no way to stand up for itself. It can't fight back. It has no way to tell you that it doesn't want to die. If it could, it most likely would. It is a defenseless creature, and you are killing it with no way for it to stand up for it. Point 2. Abortions are a selfish, irresponsible way to deal with an unplanned pregnancy. When you are killing the child growing inside you, you're only thinking about how its life is going to affect you, not how you are not even giving it a chance to live. The mother usually isn't thinking, while getting an abortion, I wonder what my child will think of me doing this. They're only thinking about how their lives will be affected by the child's existence. When getting an abortion, the pregnancy you are trying to terminate isn't usually planned. Most women who get abortions will not be on proper birth control, and they are being irresponsible, and they don't think of the consequences of their actions. They think it can't happen to them until it does. Getting an abortion is irresponsible. There are many other ways to deal with a pregnancy than to terminate it. There is adoption and other facilities that will give your child the right life, but instead of giving them a chance, you just end another human life. Point 3. There are other options that make abortion obsolete. There is adoption. Instead of killing the child, you can give it to a family that will want it and care for it, so you no longer have the responsibility. People can argue that what if you can't afford to support the baby during pregnancy? There are shelters for pregnant women and teens that can't make it on their own because their parents have thrown them out or they're not making enough money. People can say, what if you want to finish school? There are programs that the women can enter that will help them finish their schooling, and there are online schools for while you are pregnant if you are unable to attend school during your pregnancy.
Abortion in the U.S. has been illegal since 1973. Before the ruling, states individually decided on whether abortion was legal or not. 20 states all agreed that abortion should be legal in some cases. Abortion shouldn't be banned because it might be healthier than having a baby. Life doesn't begin at birth, and it uses less finance than having a baby. The first reason why abortion should remain legal is that it might be healthier to have an abortion rather than having a baby. Esther Major, a researcher for America's Magazine, had interviewed Amalia, a Nicaraguan native. In the article, Major wrote, "The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights is compelled to demand that the Nicaraguan government provide medical treatment to Amalia, a young woman suffering from advanced cancer. Amalia had been denied the treatment she needed because the 2008 law criminalizes even unintentional harm to the fetus, a risk that her treatment for cancer entailed. Already shocked and scared at the gravity of the diagnosis of aggressive cancer, Amalia was then forced to seek assistance from the Inter-American Commission in order to get the information and treatment she required. This delayed her treatment for the cancer by several crucial weeks." In Amalia's case, abortion seemed to have been the only option. The chance of her survival through the pregnancy would have been very unlikely. On top of that, even if she were to survive, the baby probably wouldn't have. Amalia's case showed that abortion saved her life. Also from Major's article, she stated, "The criminalization of abortion leaves women and girls at risk of losing their lives or suffering permanent damage to their health. This is true for those who have suffered a miscarriage and don't seek medical treatment. for fear of being accused of having provoked an abortion, for women and girls who now see no option but to seek an illegal backstreet abortion. Major is saying that if abortion were to be made illegal, no one would want to be accused of conspiring one. It wouldn't look good on their part. Women who had miscarriages would avoid the suspicion by not getting medical help afterwards. That would not be good for the health of the women who would believe this. The second reason why abortion should remain legalized is that life doesn't begin until birth, so before that, the mother may choose to do whatever she wants with the fetus. Sean Tipton, spokesman for the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, says that a fertilized egg has to continue to grow, attach itself to a woman's uterine wall, and gestate for 9 months before it is born. There are many potential missteps that can happen along the way. Also, there are lots of fertilized eggs that never become human beings. Humans are notoriously inefficient producers, and we believe most fertilized eggs actually go out with the woman's menstrual flow. Tipton is arguing that although the fertilized egg might grow up to be a human, at the time it is not. There are still chances that the fetus may never grow up and die. Missteps are bound to happen at one point or another. Tipton has merely added to my argument that a fetus still isn't a living human being. Dr. Philip Brokum, a philosopher with a doctorate, stated, "A fetus is a parasite that cannot live on its own. Saying a fetus is a distinct living being is like saying my arm is a distinct living being. My arm is alive, yes, but you can't murder my arm." In this quote, Dr. Brokum basically said that although a fetus might be a living being, it could not survive without the mother's support. Now, without the mother's support, the fetus would be nothing because it is dependent on her. This ties back to my argument that life doesn't begin until birth. The last reason why abortion should remain legalized is that it is less expensive than having an actual child.
Rachel Jones, a senior research associate at New York City's Gut-Metro Institute and lead author of the report published Monday in the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology, said, "In the middle of a recession, it's possible women have reduced access to contraception and have more unintended pregnancies. It's also possible that women confronted with unplanned pregnancies when they are out of work decide to have abortions, even though they might have carried it to term in a more stable time." Jones is saying that many women who are having abortions weren't planning on their pregnancies and they came at financially difficult times. Also, since the economy is going through a recession, many people aren't able to afford contraceptives, so therefore they're forced to become pregnant and have an abortion. Rob Stein, a reporter for the newspaper The Washington Post, said, "Among poor women, the abortion rate increased 17.5%, rising from 44 to 52.2 per thousand women, according to the analysis, which is being published in the June issue of the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology." In this article, Stein is using the statistic that the percent of women under the poverty line who are getting abortion has had a huge increase. That shows that many women can't afford taking care of a child and often go to abortion as a plan B. A possible point that someone arguing against abortion being legal could be that you were killing an unborn baby. Actually, that's not true. Life doesn't begin until birth, so before that, the mother may choose whatever she wants with the fetus. Dr. Philip Brokum, a philosopher with a doctorate, stated that a fetus is a parasite that cannot live on its own. Saying a fetus is a distinct living being is like saying my arm is a distinct living being. My arm is alive, yes, but you can't murder my arm. In this quote, Dr. Brokum basically said that although a fetus might be a living being, it could not survive without the mother's support. Now, without the mother's support, the fetus would be nothing because it's dependent of her. This ties back to my argument that life doesn't begin till birth. Another possible point someone who is arguing against abortion being legal could be that it is a selfish way to deal with an unplanned pregnancy. Actually, in some cases, abortion is literally the only option aside from death. Esther Major, researcher for America's Magazine, had interviewed Amalia, a Nicaraguan native. In the article, Major wrote, "The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights was compelled to demand that the Nicaraguan government provide medical treatment for Amalia, a young woman suffering from advanced cancer. Amalia had been denied the treatment she needed because the 2008 law criminalizes even unintentional harm to the fetus, a risk that her treatment for cancer entailed. Already shocked and scared at the gravity of the diagnosis of aggressive cancer, Amalia was then forced to seek assistance from the Inter-American Commission in order to get the information and treatment she required. This delayed her treatment for the cancer by several crucial weeks. In Amalia's case, she would have died if that abortion hadn't saved her. Why would we put many women's lives in danger like this?" A last point that someone who's arguing against abortion being legal could be that there are other ways that make abortion obsolete. Actually, not if you're financially unable. Rachel Jones, a senior research associate in New York City's Guttmacher Institute and lead author of the report published Monday in the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology, said, "In the middle of a recession, it's possible women have reduced access to contraception and have more unintended pregnancies. It's also possible that women confronted with unplanned pregnancies when they are out of work decide to have abortions, even though they might have carried it to term in a more stable time." Jones is saying that many women who are having abortions weren't planning on their pregnancies, and they came at financially difficult times. Also, since the economy is going through a recession, many people aren't able to afford contraceptives, so therefore they are forced to become pregnant and have an abortion. In conclusion, abortion shouldn't be banned because it might be healthier than having a baby. Until the baby is born, the mother may do whatever she wants with the fetus, and it uses less finance than having an actual baby. Could you imagine telling a cancer patient that they can't save their lives by having an abortion?
So many reasons why abortion should be outlawed, such as every human deserves a chance to live, and if you purposely end that life, then it's murder. There are ways to avoid an unwanted pregnancy. Also, it's an extremely selfish way to deal with a pregnancy, even if you don't want the child. Even if you don't want the child, would you want the guilt of murdering a baby on your conscience? Rebuttals. Other side's possible points. Healthier than having a child. Having a child is a natural process. Pumping yourself full of anesthetics to have the abortion is, on the other hand, not good for you. About 34 people in the world die a year from general anesthesia. But only in the U.S., 10,000 people die from childbirth, and that's in most cases from a pre-existing case or disease. Until the baby is born, the mom can do what she wants with the fetus. It's still killing a human. If you aren't allowed to murder the baby after it's born, how does it make sense to allow the woman to kill them before they're born? It costs less than having a child. There are ways that you can have a child but not pay for it. There are many clinics that are free to expecting mothers, and if you have an open adoption, the new family might cover some of your costs.